All right. Good morning. Good morning. It's time to watch the morning bell. We are live. I think the morning bell just happened. So we're just a minute behind schedule here today, but that's all right. Today we are going to spend a little bit of time looking about how to set up the software. I've been teaching classes down at the university, and one of the biggest questions they had was, "Hey, Lan, we love your software, but we're new at this. Can you show us how to set up the software? It doesn't come out of the box the same as you have it on your screen. My charts don't look like yours." I get that a lot. So why do my charts not look like yours? Mine are customized, and track and trade is very customizable. You can make it do just about, make it look like just about anything you want. And so today we're going to go through and I'm going to show you a few things on how to get your charts to look like mine. All right. And then we can go through and jump over and we're going to start doing a little bit of trading. We're going to watch the markets here just for a second as they break out of this morning bell. The NASDAQ is the one I kind of got my eye on because that's the one we've been doing a little bit of scalping on, and it's been doing pretty well. Looking at watching the Dow take off and go to the moon, that's a range bar 6, so it's a very small time frame. And one of the things that you're going to learn in the settings is that the settings for these charts are, let's go in and do that right now, shall we? We'll talk about the settings. All right, first thing we're going to notice is that my charts don't look like yours, first of all, because I have an overlay over the top of them. And this overlay is called the Donchian channels. And you'll notice in track and trade down here in the bottom right-hand corner, I've got little tiles. Little tiles, we call them little tiles, but they're little names of what the indicators are that are laying over the top of your chart. And you can see down here in the right corner, it says ATR. So that's the yellow dots. The yellow dots are laying over the top of the chart. So there's ATR. We've got Donchian channels laying over the top of the chart. That's what's down here. And then we've got the VWAP, volume weighted average price. And that's what this blue line is right here. Now, what these tools do for you, we'll have to talk a little bit further as we move through looking at and analyzing charts. But right now, we're just learning how to turn them on and turn them off. All right. So you have a chart like this and you want to turn some of these things on and off. You right click on the chart, come down here, and it says chart overlay. So on your right click menu, there's a lot of things. So you always want to right click on everything in track and trade because it allows you to do many, many things in the right click menu on all kinds of stuff. So you click on indicators, you click on little tiles, little buttons, little names, little icons. Everything's got little right click menus on it. You click on almost anything. Come over here, even in the trading tab, you click on some of these buttons and they have right click menus in them. And you can do all kinds of things by right clicking on stuff. All right. So they allow you to change all kinds of things or lots of settings inside of track and trade just by right clicking on them. Now, one of the things that I always tell people is that you got to have a strategy to trade. All right. You need to have a strategy to trade. But if you don't have a strategy, and track and trade is full of automation, gives you the ability to change and modify many things. But if you don't have a strategy to automate, it doesn't do you any good to have the ability to automate. I mean, what are you going to automate if you don't have something to automate? You have to have something to automate before you can automate it, right? I mean, it only makes sense. If you don't have a trading strategy, how are you going to automate your trading strategy? If you don't have a trading strategy, how are you going to set up your charts to have a trading strategy? It doesn't come with a trading strategy. It has hundreds of trading strategies, thousands of trading strategies, millions and millions of combinations of ways that you can set up your chart to trade the market. So you need to have a trading strategy in the first place before you can come in and start setting up your software to automate or to take advantage of those trading strategies. Track and trade can do just about anything you can imagine, but you have to have something to imagine before you can make it do it, right? Track and trade is one of these advanced trading tools, all right? It's designed with lots and lots of features for advanced traders, but it's also really simple and easy to use. So that's why new traders who want to be advanced traders like to use a tool like this because it's designed around professional trading, okay? And so professional traders like this platform because it's very simple and easy to modify, but it's very powerful. It lets you do lots of things, all right? So it's kind of like, what do we say? The last bastion of true capitalism on earth today. Well, this is like one of the last bastions of true allow you to do anything you want software programs on earth today. Most of them are the new software programs that have only been around for, a few years, they're so restrictive on what you can do because they don't have a lot of features. So they just kind of, well, you can do this or you can do that, but you can't do all these great, wonderful things. So Track and Trade, having been a more mature program, been around for, I started the company in 1998. I mean, so Track and Trade has a lot of history. It's been around a long time. It's won a lot of awards. It's been designed for a long period of time, and it does things the way it's designed to do them for a long period of time. And it's constantly been updated and getting new versions all the time. So there's always great new technology, great new things that are coming available, and we're integrating them into the software. So it's a very, very powerful tool designed specifically for, I would probably say, advanced retail traders. All right. So it's an advanced retail trading platform. And if you don't want to do advanced retail trading, you probably don't need it. I mean, if all you're going to do is buy Apple and buy some Apple shares once a year, or every 3 months, you're going to go buy some Apple shares. You don't need a platform like this. You can do that with some stupid little iPhone app. Why would you go and pay for a Ferrari if all you're going to do is go to the grocery store and get milk? It doesn't make sense unless you want to, drive around a racetrack. There's no reason to buy a race car. So this is a very fine-tuned race car, and I want you to think about it like that. It does many, many things very specifically for advanced retail traders. And if you want to eventually become an advanced retail trader, you probably want to buy a nice platform in the beginning. And this one that's what it is. So if you don't need that kind of tool, you don't need this software. The only people who need to come and play around in this class or in this, in this trade like this are people who want to manage their own money and be actively hot traders, hot shots when it comes to trading. If all you want to do, again, if you just want to be an investor in some ETF, exchange traded fund, and there's no reason to have a Ferrari platform like this. All right. So for those of you who do want to come and drive your Ferrari platform, let's go look at some of the settings. First thing you want to know is up here in the help menu, you come down to help videos. And the thing about the help videos is I've already gone through and created dozens and dozens and dozens of videos in the software that show you how to do individual things. All right. So if you want to know what the chart tab is, here's a video. If you want to know what a chart tab opening and chart symbol chooser is, here's a video. You want to know what the key tab is, here's a video. You want to know about the options tab, here's a video. Right. I've already gone through and done a tremendous amount of videos that teach you, and there's a lot of them, but they're short. They're not like you're going to go watch a tome of information. You can watch every single one of these videos in a couple hours in an afternoon, and you could really become a power user of the software just by going through and following some of the examples that are in these videos. But these videos, very powerful. They tell you, and many things are, I give you a little bit more education as well, like the 1, 2, 3 tool, for example, or the head and shoulders tool. If you want to learn a little bit about what the head and shoulders tool, not only how to use it, but what it's for, this is a good little video. It gives you a little bit of background into what a head and shoulders is and why that tool's in there and why it's important. Or the Fibonacci ruler. We talk about the Fibonacci ruler in class. If you want to know a little bit more about the Fibonacci ruler, more than just how to turn it on, I mean, which this video will tell you how to turn it on, how to modify it, how to change it. It'll also give you a little bit of a background as to what it is and why you want to turn it on, because there's multiple things that you need to know about trading. You need to know what the tool is and how to use it, but you also need to know why the tool is there. The more important thing is why. I can teach you the how stuff in a 2-minute video. This is how you do it. All right. Why you do it and when you do it is the part that you need to come back to this class and you need to attend and pay attention to on a regular basis, continually, to get exposed to when we use these tools and why these tools are important. All right. Because I can't teach you how to do it in 2 minutes. I mean, I can teach you how to do it in 2 minutes. I can't teach you why to do it in 2 minutes. It's going to take some work because, again, we have to learn how to read charts, and there's a number of different tools and reasonings why we do things. And it's all based on a fundamental that we have. We have like all these fundamental nature of the market. We have these fundamental tools that we use, and then we build on top of them like a house. And some things that we do are like the little cherry on top, right? It's kind of a neat, fun thing to do, but it's not as important as the foundation. So you have to come and you have to spend time working with somebody who's done this a long time, and you have to work with somebody who's knows a little bit about what they're doing so you can find out what the foundation is versus the cherry on top. Because YouTube has a tendency, when you go out there on YouTube and you get into that world of, the algorithm showing you everybody's videos, and you get stuck in that circle of cherry on top stuff. That's all most of those guys are doing, because they're giving you clickbait. All right. They want to get clicks because that's how they make their money, is they get you to watch their videos. And so they have to put things out on their little marquees, out on their little thumbnails, the hottest, most clickety thing that people, oh, I want to know how that guy made $1 million in 2 minutes. How did that guy make $1 million in 2 minutes? So you go out and you click on his video, and then he tells you some little cherry on top. All right. Has nothing to do with the foundational structure of markets, has nothing to do with long-term success, has nothing to do with any of that. All he's doing is clickbaiting you with the little cherry on top. And so everybody runs around looking at all the little cherries on top, and they never get involved in the deep structure of the markets, because nobody wants to click on that. Nobody wants to click on what is the deep foundation nature of the financial markets, and why would you want to learn about Fibonacci, Elliott wave, zigzags, and recurring price patterns. The mathematics of the delta cone of probability. Nobody's going to click on that. I'm sorry. It's the most important thing you can learn about trading, but if I put that out there, nobody's going to click on it. All right. Nobody wants to learn that. They all want the why I made $1 million in 2 minute video, the little cherry on top, but they have nothing to do with the foundation. So, but the only way you're going to actually be the guy that makes $1 million in 2 minutes is you got to learn all this other stuff. And it's not easy. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. All right. So we need to learn some of the foundational structures of the market. And the only way you're going to do that is be exposed to it. And to get exposed to it, you have to spend some time. You have to learn. You have to sit down with somebody who does this all the time, and you have to just sit and watch them do it. And you have to get your software, and you have to just do it too. You just have to sit here and do it. And it might take you months. It might take you years. It depends on how fast you are at picking up stuff. Are you a good learner? Are you a fast learner? Are you dedicated? Do you like to do a lot of learning on your own? Do you like to do a lot of study on your own and practice on your own? Well, you're going to go a lot faster than the guy that just wants to sit there and diddle around and fiddle around with it. Oh, I want to try something this, or I'll try that, and you don't put together any kind of structure. You don't have any kind of foundation. You don't have any knowledge base understanding of what's going on. And it takes a while to do that with any industry. I don't care what you are, whether you're going to be a dentist. Oh, I want to drill. I could probably, give me a drill. I'll start drilling on your teeth tomorrow. I could probably, I've been to the dentist a few times, had my teeth drilled on. I know what he's doing. Give me that tool. I'll go drill on your teeth. I could probably do a pretty good job of, guessing at what he did. Probably not a good idea, though. What do you think? So probably the same thing in the financial markets. Everybody thinks, oh, this is easy. You just buy low, sell high. Everybody can do it, and they want to give you the impression that everybody can do it because they want to take your money. The only way other people make money is by taking your money. The whole name of trading is a game of taking each other's money, right? It's like playing chess. So I have a little slide here for you based on that concept, right? We talk about it all the time. Come down here and show you. I'll give you a couple little slides here. A little academic work here. All right, here it is. How about this one? For every buyer, there's a seller. For every winner, there's a loser. All right, it's a tug of war. So here's another one. Taking money from Wall Street is like taking a bone from a junkyard dog. It may be easy to place trades, but it ain't easy to make money. You got to realize as a small retail trader, you are a thief. you are in here trying to steal money from Wall Street. You're trying to take their money. Other people are investing money and you're trying to take it. All right. So you are a little thief. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you to take their money. All right. So coming in here, you got to be ready. Every market is a battle. If you're not prepared to go to war, don't go. Go be a Walmart greeter or a gas station attendant. Both are honorable jobs. All right. But if you're going to go to war, you don't want to be sitting jumping around from cherry to cherry to cherry thinking you're going to make money, because you're not. Because there's guys in here who are doing this. They're serious. All right. They're serious about what's going on. And every game is like playing chess. All right. Trading is a game of strategy and wit, where you must think several moves ahead to outwit your opponent, who's doing the exact same thing to outwit you. All right. Are you a good chess player? Oh, I know how the pieces move, but do you know any strategies? Have you ever stopped and spent time reading a book on strategies to win the chess game? Oh no, somebody just told me how all the pieces moved, and so now I just move them around the board. And I never win. Never pinned somebody's king in the corner. Maybe once accidentally because they didn't know anything either. But as soon as you get a strategy or two, you don't even have to have very many strategies. You can have 2 strategies to play chess and you can beat 90% of people. Why? Because they don't have any strategies. They know how the pieces move. They know that the king can go this many places. They know the queen can go this many. They know that the pawn can move like this and take pieces, but they have no strategy. None at all. And you find that in trading. Most people who come and trade, they know what a market order is. Oh, if I hit this, I can buy the market. Oh, if I hit this, I can sell the market. Oh, I learned what a stop order is. Oh, I learned the rules. Stop orders to buy have to be placed above the market. That's the same as saying, well, I know what a pawn does. Okay, do you have a strategy? Do you know what you're going to do with your limit order? Do you know what you're going to do with your stop order? Do you know what you're going to do with your OCO, your OTO? Because the people that you're playing against, they know those strategies. They have that stuff under their belt and they're smart. And so if you're not ready and you're coming to war and all you've got in your back pocket is a 22 pistol and you're going up against somebody who's riding around in a, M1 tank, you're going to get beat. And so I'm giving you a little bit of a warning here, but also that this isn't easy and it doesn't come fast. You got to spend some time in it, just like you would with any industry where you think you're going to start a new career. This is a money-making career. You can make a lot of money in this career. I've made a lot of money in this industry. I'll give you an example. Not a week or two ago, I did a video and I gave a trade recommendation where I said, look, we're going to take some of our money out of the stock market because it's rising. Of course, we had the election, the market went up. So that was neither here nor there. But I said, put it into Bitcoin because Bitcoin is breaking a trend line. I had some reasonings why I thought that Bitcoin would do well. And just to give you a little hint, that little recommendation that I took myself, took my own advice in the last couple of weeks, I'm up $19,000. $19,000 on a little trade recommendation, only because I did a little bit of mathematical modeling in the computer and I said, hey, I think that this is what's going to happen. And it did. All right. Does it always happen like that? No, of course not. Well, nobody's perfect. Nobody can make the perfect decisions every time, but I did it right this time. And it was all based on mathematical modeling of the charts and some of the things that I try to teach here using track and trade. And I'm up $19,002.11, all right, on that one trade recommendation. So does it work? Sometimes it works. But you know what? If you're smart and you learn and you get some of this knowledge under your belt, you're going to have a lot better chance of making the money as opposed to being the guy on the other side of my trade who's losing $18,000. All right, because somebody's got to give it to me. If I get it, somebody has to give it to me. Somebody who had it before me has to give it to me. And so don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that's giving your money away. Be the guy that's making the money. And so that's the point that I'm trying to make here. You can have, great, wonderful software, but if you don't take the time to learn the concepts of why the tools are in here, it doesn't do you any good to have the tools. So the settings that I have to make my charts look like this are very simple because I don't use a lot of tools. I don't use a lot of the indicators that a lot of people use. I'll use 1 or 2 indicators. This is the RSI. I like the RSI. If you right click on an indicator window, let's turn one on first of all, because maybe yours doesn't have one. So let's remove this, and let's remove this one, and let's remove this one. Okay, so I'm just right clicking on the tiles. Let's remove the ATR. Let's remove the Donchian channels. Let's remove the VWAP. There's nothing here. I'm going to turn off the Heikin-Ashi bars, and I'm going to go to a standard 1 minute chart, the way they come out of probably the way they come out of the software. I don't even know anymore. I haven't seen it for so long. Oh, let's see. What did I just do? I'm going to go back. Which one was that? That's this one. Okay, let's turn this one into a 2 minute chart. So, and in fact, 2 minute chart is probably not one that you're going to even have. Let's come down here and we'll change that to a 1 minute chart. That's probably the closest thing you're going to get. I'm going to be able to get back to where you get coming out of the box. All right. So that's probably the closest thing you're going to get to coming out of the box. Look at that 1 minute chart. That thing has taken off and gone to the moon first thing here in the morning. So we're not trading, we're pontificating at this point. But we're learning about how to set up your chart. So if this is how your charts look like when you come out of the chart and you want your charts to look like mine, these are some of the things I do to turn mine on. All right. So I come in, and one of the things I like is an overlay indicator like the ATR. That's one of my favorites. So if you right click on the chart and you say chart overlay, one of my favorites is the ATR. It's right here. It's called the average true range. And if you click on it, it turns on these little dots that go over the chart. Now let's come down, and I'm going to go to, there's several ways that you can get to the preferences. Now anything in track and trade that you want to change the features of are over here in the preferences tab. So one of the things about track and trade is one of the things I hate most is I hate boxes that pop up in front of the chart. Now, Windows, that's the way Windows is designed. That's why it's called Windows. All right, Windows, because they pop windows up in front of your charts all the time, or whatever program you have. You go to any program and you start fiddling around with stuff. Windows likes to pop up all these windows in front of your screen. Well, when I'm a trader and I'm watching the price charts and I want to change something, the last thing I want this stupid software to do is pop something up in front of my screen, in front of my chart, and cover up my chart so I can't see the price action because I'm changing some color on a line somewhere. Okay, what's more important, for me to be able to see price and see what my orders are doing, or to see the color that some ding dong line is being drawn? Well, this stupid Windows and all these other programs out there, they pop shit all over the screen, which covers up your chart. And I just absolutely hate that. It drives me crazy. So I don't want my chart covered up with boxes. Now, track and trade pops boxes in front of the charts too, sometimes, because Windows forces you to do that sometimes. You don't have a choice if you're going to be in a Windows environment. Okay, you have to do things the way Microsoft makes you do things. So there are times that Windows have to pop up in chart of the screen, but wherever possible, we try to avoid doing that. And so that's why you have this big control panel on the right-hand side that has all your controls in it. And sometimes the controls over there look a little, foreboding, because we put a lot of stuff in a small space over there. But it's not stuff you use all the time. You use it once or twice, and then you don't look at it again for 6 months. Then you come back and, I want my color to be red instead of green. All right, 6 months later, you might go into that window. So it's not that important, but it's there and you got to have it, right? So we put it in places that are very quiet, off to the side. You can change it, and as you change it, it changes your chart. That's another thing. A lot of software programs pop up these boxes. You make all the changes, and then you hit a button to apply it, and then it's like, that's not what I want. You have to pop up the box. You have to make all your changes. You hit apply. Oh, that's not what I want. I hate that too. Drives me crazy. Don't make me do that. I don't want to sit there and pretend like I know what I want, set it all up for 10 minutes, hit the button to see if I like it, and then not like it. So the idea with track and trade, and this is why a lot of the things are done in the software the way it's been done. We've been doing it for a long time. All right. So we know what we're doing. All right. And we're very experienced traders that design this software. Things are done very specifically for a very specific purpose and reason. So we're in the preferences tab. All right. And if you're in the preferences tab, almost anything you touch will show up a box in that preferences tab. So you come over here, and if you click just a simple line tool, all right, it has preferences, and there they are right there on the side of the screen for you. Okay, and so you can come in and you can adjust those preferences, and you can adjust them on the fly. Oh, you want a line color? Oh, you draw the line, and now you can change the color right here. Oh, any color you put in there is going to change it right there, right in front of your face, and you don't have to sit there and open and close some stupid window. You don't have to do any of that. It's all just right there for nothing. I mean, even for a simple line, you don't want a big window popping in front of your screen. So almost everything in track and trade has a control panel. And I get a little passionate about it because certain things, I mean, this is my career, right? This is what I do. This is my engineering platform. This is what my whole world is circled around these markets. And I want things done very specifically. And so that's why I started the company and wrote the software and hired programmers and did this was my life's career, right? I just recently sold the company, but it was my company ever since 1998. All right. So I designed this thing right down to the last little component piece, little dot that's on the screen. I wanted it to be a specific way. Now there's things that you have to deal with. You have to deal with, sometimes even I couldn't make things the way I wanted them. But for the most part, the things are done the way I wanted them. All right. And they do things the way I specifically wanted them. So, and we're always working on it. There's a team of programmers working on this thing all the time, every day, working on keeping this software up to date and current and latest and greatest technology. So everything you click on, all right, you draw a dollar calculator. If you have the preferences tab open, it will have a series of preferences there for you to work off of. You can come in and you can do all kinds of neat stuff over here. You can change things, and I'm not going to go into every single tool. That's what all the videos are out there for. But just to let you know, that's one of the most important parts of track and trade, is that this control panel is designed to be over there on the side where it doesn't pop shit up all over your screen and cover stuff up all the time. And you can change stuff on the fly. So I just drew that dollar calculator. Now I can come in here and I can make changes to it just like this. I can turn stuff on, turn stuff off. I can change the colors. I can change the numbers. I can change, where the thing is. I can make it do different calculations, all kinds of things off the control panel for that tool. And then I like that tool setting. I can come in here and save as my default settings. So now every time I draw a tool, if I hit save my default settings, my tool, any tool from then on, is going to do what I said I wanted the settings to be. If I want to go back to the TNT defaults, the way it is out of the box, I just hit TNT defaults. There's what it looks like out of the box. Is out of the box what I like? No, mine save as my defaults. Now I've got my default button. So anytime I want it to look like my defaults, it looks like that. All right. So I can go to TNT defaults. I can go back to my defaults. I can set all my defaults to be like however I set them, and then hit save as my defaults. Then that changes the settings for my defaults. And then from then on, any tool that I use will look like that. That's why my tools look different than yours, because I come in and I make them adjusted. First of all, I hate the color blue that the programmers used. And I've told them a million use for your default colors. Can you please change that? And they're like, no, it's not a big deal. It works fine. And we're busy doing other things. Eventually, one day we'll get to it. So like I said, even I can't make all the things. Being the owner of the company, and I'm not the owner anymore. But being the owner of the company, I still have to put up with some things that the programmers do, because I'm not a programmer. I can't go in and change it myself. So I have to put it on a list and say, these are the things that are important to me. Let's get to them. But I have an importance list, and the color of a default setting of a color of a tool is pretty low. It's pretty far down the list. A lot of other things are way more important than having the default color settings set to a color I like, as opposed to one that other people like. So that's how things get done in a computer programming company. So you can come in, and that's why I set it up. I said, well, then let's make it so that I can set mine up to be however colors I want, whatever settings I want, whatever defaults I want, and then I can save those, and that's my default color. So that's how everything in track and trade has a my default. TNT defaults. So we can then save it as my defaults. Then I can have it be my colors. You can have it be your colors. Everybody can have a custom program. All right. Now, you can hit it around here. So you can say, oh, let's look at the TNT defaults. Let's look at LAN's defaults. But let's say that you drew over here a TNT default tool like this. All right. Let's say that's a TNT default tool. And then we're over here and we're making changes to this tool over here. And I want this one to be my defaults, and I like it like that. And then I'm like, okay, we'll save as my defaults like that. And then I want that tool or all the tools on all the charts. And from now on, every other tool and plus all the tools I've drawn in the past to look like this tool. Then you just hit update all calculators. And now when you do that, every tool in the whole software will look like that because you hit update all calculators. And now from this point forward, any calculator that you draw is going to look like this. So that's the concept behind tools. All right. And that's any tool, any indicator, anything that's got a settings, you can save it as your defaults, and you can update all the previous ones, or anything new going forward from that time forward will look like that. And that's how you make your stuff look like mine. Okay. And mostly this color stuff, you can, I like bigger fonts because my eyes aren't as good, or my charts are bigger or smaller or whatever. So I'll come in and, I'll make changes to stuff like this, a little triangle tool, for example, right? If you look at the TNT defaults on that, TNT defaults, well, they got them blue. Well, it's hard for me to see the blue ones. I like to have them my default. I made them green. That's no big deal, right? You can go do that yourself. And then you can make yours green, and you can make it snap to the different spots. If you like it to snap to the highs and lows of bars, it'll automatically snap to them, right? It'll snap to those points. And that's important for me. I like most of my stuff to snap to, so I can calculate off of highs and lows of bars. That's good. Sometimes I'll turn that off because I don't want it to snap, so I can turn it off. But if I just turned off on one tool, that doesn't mean the next time I draw it like this, it doesn't have snap on. Now this one has snap on because that's my default. But if I turn snap off, well, now snap doesn't work on this one. There's no snap. It won't snap to the highs and lows. So it doesn't keep jumping to the highs and lows. But next time I draw one, right, I still have snap as my default, so it's going to stay on. Well, I turned snap off. Well, you only turn snap off for that one tool. If you want snap off for all tools from now on, you have to save it as your defaults, and then it won't have snap on anymore. So that's how that works. All right. So there's a few little idiosyncrasies that you have to understand about the software, but once you understand that, pretty simple. And then the next thing that I like to do in my charts is I like to have what we call Heikin-Ashi bars, or range bar charts. Now, if you come into the software and you go over here to the charts, you'll notice that the charts have multiple ways of changing. There's always, in track and trade, there's usually multiple ways of doing the same thing. And the reason that is because sometimes you're in one screen view and you want to change something, but it's over in another screen view, and you don't want to switch back to that screen view because you're actively working in this screen view. So we give you the ability to make changes of the same thing in multiple places so that you don't have to keep jumping back to different screen views to change something. It's all about efficiency in price action. All right. Everything we're doing here is efficiency and price action. And I'll show you one other little simple thing that you probably wouldn't even think about, but to us, it's very important. The trading tab is where you're going to spend most of your time. All right. This trading tab is where you're going to spend most of your mousing time, is in that tab, because that's where all the orders are for buying and selling. But yet you're going to be looking at the chart here. So the chart, notice that it starts from left to right. So price goes from left to right, but the action bar, the last bar on the chart, where the action is, where you're going to be placing orders, is on the right-hand side of the chart. That's why the control panel is also on the right-hand side of the chart. Why? Because if the control panel, what you can do, you can have the control panel over on the other side if you want. A lot of people have their control panel on the other side. If I can switch it here, I know it's got a tool in here. You can switch it to the other side. Toolbars, main, drawing, revert factory settings, save location bar. Anyway, it's in here somewhere. You can flip the control panel left side. There it is. All right. Now, why don't you want the control panel on the left side? Because the action bar is way over here, right? This is where all the action is. You got your eyes over here. Now I want to buy. So what happens? You have to drag your mouse clear across the screen all the way over to here to find your buy button. and then you hit your buy button or your stop order button, and then you have to come all the way back over here to put it where you want it. All right. So it doesn't make sense to have the control panel on the left side because it's so far away from the action of the market. Now, I know that most of you have no clue that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, all the software had their control panels on the left side. All the software had all their settings on the left side. All the software, or it would pop in front of the chart. All the software did that. It was all over here, and the action was over there. And I came in, I said, what in the heck is going on? What is this? It was Lan Turner and his team of programmers and the people who worked with me who said, why are we doing that? Put that control panel over there on the other side. And all the programmers in the world said, oh, that software that won Stocks and Commodities Annual Reader's Choice Award 7 times in 7 years in a row, they put their control panel on the right-hand side. I wonder how come. Well, it's because it's only 1 inch from where I'm working. My stop order to I have to move my mouse this far. And it's fast, it's easy, it's efficient to move and to do this, all right? Oh, and we invented drag and drop orders too. Now, it was not a thing until Track and Trade did it. Now there's companies out there that do it. Dollar calculator. That was not a thing until we did it. Drawing on charts, believe it or not, back when we started, was not a thing. You couldn't draw on a chart. There was nobody drawing on charts. Why? Because charts were not drawing applications. They weren't drawing tools. They were, you turned on a chart, you turned on indicators, it'd pop up an indicator, you could turn on indicators, you could change the colors, but you didn't have any ability to draw on a chart. So drawing on charts was something we invented for the most part. That came from us, all right? So we've been around a long time, and we've invented most of this stuff. Being able to move charts back and forth in time and do historical trading. That was us. We're the first ones to ever do that. Okay. That was our team. So a lot of this stuff has been around and is in almost all the software, but it had to start somewhere. Most of this stuff started with Track and Trade back in 1998 when we first started doing this kind of stuff. We're like, we want to be able to draw on charts. Can't draw on charts. Oh, well, we have to turn our trading platform into a drawing platform. And everybody was like, why would you do that? Well, because we want to draw trend lines. I have this idea. I want to be able to draw a Fibonacci ruler across the chart. You know, that would be a cool idea. Well, nobody ever thought of that. That's okay, let's do it. So we turned our charting application into a drawing package. You're right. We had Microsoft Paint. Well, I wanted to be able to paint on my chart. Okay, well, we're going to have to create a charting application that is a paint application that you can paint like Microsoft Paint with a chart background with data coming across it. And we're like, well, let's invent that. That sounds like a cool idea. So that's what we did. All right. And now everybody draws on their charts. You don't even think twice. Somebody had to invent that. Somebody had to come up with that idea, right? Everybody does it now. You show me a charting program that doesn't let you draw on the charts. So, somebody had to think of that idea. Did we invent all the stuff? No, of course not. There was 2 or 3 other companies that were doing it at the same time, and we were all kind of vying for that. But then most of these companies, they've started within, the last 4 or 5 years, and all they did is come and take our software and copy it and put all this shit into their software. And I have to admit, some of their stuff is really cool. They've taken our ideas and built on them and made some things that are better. And there's 1 or 2 tools that they've got that are, I would go to them and I'd say, wow, they took our tool and they redesigned it to look like that. That's really neat. So there's some people who have copied us and done some really neat stuff with our technology. So is it now our technology? Well, sure, it's our basic idea or concept, but they've made it better. And there's companies out there who have done a few little minor things or tools or stuff that they've kind of built on that idea. And so, that's the way the world moves forward, and that's how things get done and better. You take somebody else's idea and you do it your way. That's what we did. We took some ideas. Hey, we like charts and we like graphs, but we want to draw them, and we did it our way. So a lot of this stuff, I mean, all these little tool things in here, like like we were the first guys to be doing this kind of stuff. Nobody drew mathematically modeled, Andrew's pitchforks on charts. I mean, who would have thought to do that? Little Land Turner from Fillmore, Utah. Okay, so a lot of this stuff, a dollar calculator. A lot of you guys have seen that dollar calculator where it's a red box like this with a green box. Then you have a green box like that. That was our version 1.0 version of that tool. That we were the first ones to do that. That was a Little Land Turner and his team of programmers came up with that idea to be able to draw that on your chart. So anytime you see one of those, that was a Land Turner and track and trade invention. We came up with that. All right. That was our version 1.0. Now we changed ours. We don't have the boxes anymore. What we did is we created these dollar calculators, and this is this is my version of it. I got rid of the box. We no longer have the box. We now draw it with a line. So ours is the dollar calculator, and it's a line, and you can have your preferences in here, and you can have it be dollars, you can have it be ticks, you can have it be whatever you want. But the idea is a risk versus reward ratio, and we do both sides because you can bracket a market, right? You can come in here and you can put your stop order above the market, you can put your stop order below the market, you can bracket the market, you can put a limit order up here, and you can put a limit order down here. Now, a lot of these guys don't have, they have their dollar calculators that they copied our version 1.0 and have the little boxes, but they don't use drag and drop orders yet. They haven't figured out how to put drag and drop orders on it. So they don't have the ability to drop their orders on there, but they can drop their little color boxes on there. Well, we said, let's get rid of the color boxes because it puts too much, clutters up the screen. Let's just make our dollar calculator be a simple line, and then we can go both directions off of it. We can calculate if you buy and go long above this line, you have a limit order up here that your profit would be 616. If you take a short position down, and if you don't need this side, if you're not going to go long, well, you don't have to have these orders up here. You can get rid of them, and you can just drop this down and it's gone. And then you have the risk versus reward ratio in a line. And you don't have this big box drawn over the screen that gets in the way. It's a very simple, quiet little mathematical model that's put on your screen of risk versus reward. That's our tool. We invented that. All right. We invented the dollar calculator. If you draw from bottom to top, this was one of the reasons I started track and trade in the first place, was this dollar calculator right here. My first experience was I was making money and I placed a trade, and I called up the broker on the phone. I said, well, I know I'm making money. How much am I making? He says, you're making $1,000. And I was like, what? And he could tell that I was a little surprised. And he goes, well, what'd you think you were making? I said, well, I thought I was making $100. He goes, well, you should be happy. You're making $1,000. I said, no, I'm not happy because I thought I was risking $100 on the other end, and I was actually risking $1,000. I put my stop $1,000 back when I thought it was supposed to be $100 back. And he goes, well, you should be happy you're making $1,000 where you thought you were making 100. And I said, no, that's not the way it works. I said, how do you know the math? We're in the futures market and the numbers are all wrong. I mean, we have crude oil that trades in barrels. We have corn that trades in bushels, and we have gold that trades in ounces, and we have the S&P that trades in dollars. I mean, everything is different. It's so screwy. I can't figure it out. What do you do? And he says, well, you just have to know. I said, no, I do this part-time. I have another job. I says, I can't just know. I don't just know. There's got to be a tool that helps me with that. And he says, well, I can send you a table. That's what we all use here. I said, okay, can you send me the table? And guess how he sent it to me? Via fax, because that's how long ago this was. Some of you guys don't even know what a fax is. So he sent me a fax and not a paper fax. Remember back in those days, we had roll faxes, and he sent me a roll. He sent me a fax, and it was like 30 pages long, and it came out of my fax machine as a roll, as a sheet. And I could hang it. It was like 30 pages of how you do the mathematical calculations to calculate how much money you made for each individual commodity. This is how you calculate it for soybeans. This is how you calculate it for gold. This is how you calculate it for silver. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we got computers nowadays. Why in the heck am I having to do all this math? And we had a policy at my company. If you have to pull out your calculator to do something, the software is not doing its job. The software should tell you everything you need to know. You don't need to pull out your calculator to figure out what's going on. If you do, then the software is broken. It's not doing its job. So I said, that's the policy that we have. You should not have to pull out your calculator if you've got a computer to trade on. Why am I sitting here with my calculator calculating how much profit I made? Why can't the computer tell me? And so I wanted to know how big a trend was, how much that trend would be. So I said, I want a tool that I can drag on the screen, and I want to be able to say from the bottom of this trend to the top of that trend, how much money is that? $1,570 is 314 ticks, is 0.71%. I don't want to have to do the math for that on my calculator. I don't want a 42-page fax that's going to make me do that math. I want to be able to draw a tool on the screen, and I want to go from the low to the high, and I want to know what that is. And so that's how track and trade was actually invented in the first place. That was my first concept for the software. I wanted just that tool right there. I wanted to simplify the fact that I want to know how big a trend is and how much money it is, and I don't care which chart you put it on. If you're in the Bitcoin, I want to be able to draw that same tool and have it automatically do the math and say, well, that's $74.50, 149 ticks, and it's 0.9%. And I wanted to be able to draw that same tool on every chart and have it tell me and do the math for me on what those were. Believe it or not, somebody had to invent that. Somebody was me. All right. That's how the dollar calculator got invented. And now almost every tool, every software program in the country has that tool, because Land Turner invented it when I was back in Chicago at the Board of Trade. All right. So that's how most of this stuff got put into the software. That's how most of this stuff got put into other people's programs. It's just kind of, everybody has a risk reward calculator now, don't they? Well, somebody had to invent it, and that somebody was me and my team of programmers. All right. So that's what most of this stuff in here is. There's a lot of indicators that are in here, and I didn't, some of this stuff I can take 100% claim on, but most of it I did with a team of people, and I had other people telling me ideas, and then we said, well, how can we turn that into a tool? I mean, like I've always said, I worked at the Chicago Board of Trade. Now, I didn't work for the Chicago Board of Trade. I was an employee of the Chicago Board of Trade. I was a subcontractor. So I was brought in as an educator, and I wouldn't even really say a subcontractor. I was brought in as an educator who came in and worked in the education center. And my job was to work with the traders that were down in the pits on the floor where they did the auctions. And we'd bring them up and teach them how to trade on the computer. That was my job. So because I had a software program, I was invited to come and put my software in the education center, and then we would teach traders how to use software to trade with, because that was a thing back then. It was new stuff. Oh, you can trade on a computer? Yeah, well, I want to learn that. I don't want to have to be down in the pits all the time. I want to learn how to come up and trade on a desk. And so we would teach them. And so I did that for about 10 years. And we would travel all over the country. But me and a bunch of the other educators would travel all over the country. We'd go from New York to Florida to California to Texas. I mean, we went everywhere. In Las Vegas, we did shows all over the place. We used to have 1,000 people in one show. We did that one time down in Las Vegas, had 1,000 people. So we had big shows. We had big presentations. Most of them were smaller. We have 50, 60, 80, 100 people, or even sometimes we had small. We did some where we rented Donald Trump's boardroom one time and had like 8 people in there with us, and spent 3 days in Donald Trump's boardroom teaching people how to use the software and how all these new tools work. So we've been around, we've done this for a long time, and we invented a lot of this stuff, and now it's just kind of in the soup and everybody has it. But somebody had to invent it in the first place, and those of us who are around 30 years ago, we are the guys who did it. And that's how a lot of this stuff came about. All right. And there's a lot of new stuff and a lot of fun stuff that's out there. But the most important key role stuff has been integrated into track and trade. and we're constantly working on it. Like I said, we still got a team of programmers that work on it every day and make it better and better. But there's reasons why the software does very specific things for very specific purposes. And so it's not going to be something I can teach you in an afternoon. That's why you have to come and spend a lot of time with me and do stuff. So back to what my setups are on some of these tools, just to give you a little bit of history about where a lot of this stuff come from and how it got invented. A lot of these tools came from me working with professional traders back in Chicago, who would then come and talk to me, and they'd say, well, this is a feature this is how this tool works. This is, for example, Fibonacci. They're like, this is how the Fibonacci works. Well, what's the sequence we need to have in here? What is the mathematics? So we'd sit down, and we didn't have ChatGPT at the time. And even Google, you search on Google, there wasn't much of a list like, well, this is how, Fibonacci works. No, back then we didn't have all that. So we had to sit down with books and mathematics and have people who had done it forever and figure all this stuff out. And magazines, people write articles in magazines about it and stuff, and we'd take all those resources. We actually had to go to the library, do things like that with real paper. I mean, real books, right? I know it makes us sound old, but it's not been that long that we're on bleeding edge technology with most of this stuff. We're constantly working on it every single day, trying to make it better. And it's not, I always tell people, it's not amazing. What's amazing about it is that it works at all. Not that we have it. Well, I mean, it's amazing that we have it, but it's amazing that it even works, because we're always working with the very bleeding edge of technology. Stuff is always changing constantly. In fact, we're right in the middle of a whole rewrite of the entire back end of this software for the API engine connecting to they totally decided they want to rewrite all that stuff up at the higher level, right? So our programmers have been working their little butts off over the last month rewriting the back-end engine. And it's something you will never see. You won't even know it. They'll come out with a new version and what did they change? Nothing. Well, why did I have to get an update? What's the new version? Usually when you get a new version, you think, oh, they're going to put a new tool in there. Or they're going to put a new this or that. There are so many things that go on in the background of what's going on with this software, this type of stuff, all the data controls and all the order entry stuff and everything, all that kind of stuff. You have no idea. If I'd have known that all that stuff was required, I'd have never started this company in the first place. It's too hard. But, we did, and we did it. And so we've won so many awards. Our software is very award-winning. We've been very on the cutting edge all the time. And one of the primary inventors of most of the tools that most of the software companies have out there right now. So, it's been a run. It's been a really fun run. And let me show you a couple of other things that I love and the way I like to set up my software and why it does the things that we do. But one of the things that it does that I love is I like range bars. And range bars are charts that have no time involved. So let's get rid of all this stuff in here. And we're going to go ahead and delete all this. Yes, we'll delete all that. Oh, I didn't mean to. What did I just do? See, even I have to sometimes figure out what I'm doing with the charts. What did I just delete? I just deleted something. I didn't mean to delete it and change everything. Did I delete it? What did I just do? I was talking and not paying attention. Now we've got soybeans and everything else on here. Oh, I must have deleted one of my indicators. That's what I did. I switched portfolios. Sorry about that. Not paying attention. All right, so let's get back here. The software, which one were we looking at? Okay, so yeah, let's delete. Oh, I deleted the portfolio, I guess. Okay, so let's get rid of our orders in here. So exit chart. That's what I meant to do, is get rid of our orders. And that background has gone a little funny, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to chart preferences, and I'm going to run that up a little higher. I like those a little bit farther apart. So you can do that. So this is the control panel on the right-hand side. You say I came down here to chart preferences. Chart preferences gives you this control panel on the preferences channel. And then again, they're all over here so that they don't pop up in front of the chart and mess us up, but they're in sections in here. So don't get overwhelmed by it. This is your charting section. This is your chart tab section. Each one has a header on it. These are your drawing tools. These are your bar colors, and they're all having something to do with the chart. Okay. So if you want your candles filled or not, that's where you're going to find all this information in here. You want to show the bars or not, they're all in here. So this is where you're going to have settings for the chart, and they're all in this one control panel, and you scroll down through them and they're all in sections, but they're not going to pop up boxes over the top of the chart and cover up your action while you're doing something as simple as changing a color. Once you get all this stuff set, you almost never come in here again. You just hit save as my defaults. Now every chart will look like that, and you don't have to use this control panel again. So you come back here, now you're back on here, and you're 2 inches away from the stop bar. You got the colors the way you want them. Everything's just the way you want it. And there you go. All right. So that's how this is all designed. Now let's see, back to what we were talking about. I like range bar charts. All right. So you'll notice in here, range bar. Now these are all customizable. You can make them whatever you want. So you have to have a reason why you want to do something. You have to know and understand the concept behind it before you change it. But the reason I do it is because range bars don't have any time involved. Most common charts are timed charts, right? They're 1 minute, they're 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute. Each bar represents a certain amount of time. So as time progresses, or as price goes through time, it will go up and it'll go down, it'll go up and it'll go down, and then you'll have a segment of time. So each price bar represents one segment of time, and you can specify what that is. And here's a place where you specify it in Track and Trade. And here's one of these places where we have to pop the chart up in front of your screen. Drives me crazy, but it's something Microsoft forces us to do. But we have these little tabs down here, and this is how you can change your time. So you can come down here from a 1 minute to a 2 minute, and you click the 2 minute tab and it changes it over to the 2 minute time frame. You can do that over here in the right click menu. You can change things to the 2 minute, the 1 minute. All right, so you can adjust stuff in multiple places. But to set the defaults, you right click on these tabs down here. So for example, if I want a 1 minute chart to be on tab 1, I want a range bar 6 on tab 2, a 5 minute chart on tab 3, you right click on this and it pulls up this box and it pops it in front of the chart. One of the few places where we have to do that. But you pop it up here, and this is where you set up each one of your tabs. So you can see in here it says range bar 6. This is a time chart 1, time chart 2, time chart 5, time chart 15, time chart, and then I got a range bar 25 right here on this one. All right, so in this book, now I oftentimes will use a range bar 50. So we'll change that to 50. We can change this one and see it's range bar. This is a range bar 15. Maybe I want a range bar 25 in here. Maybe this is a minute chart. This is a 5 minute chart. That's good. This one here is a 2 minute chart, 1 minute chart, range bar 6. I like range bar 6. So let's go ahead and we're going to save this and apply it to all charts. So we hit apply. Now all of our charts are going to have those time frames, and the ones that had different time frames, those will switch and change to whatever time frame we change them to based on the tabs. And so now you look down here in the tabs, we got range bar 6, we got 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, range 25, range 50, a daily, weekly, and monthly chart. So now when you come over here to the right control panel and we're in the charts tab where you got all your charts listed, you can come in here and you can open up charts. These are all the lists of all the things you can open, all the things you can trade. And of course, you can make this list is customizable too. You come up here and you can pick in this list, again, a box that pops over everything, but Microsoft makes us do that sometimes. You can check mark the ones you want. He's like, well, you know what? I'm never going to trade the NYMEX oil. Okay, well then turn it off and it won't show up in your list. I'm never going to trade oats. Okay, so I turn oats off. I'm never going to trade the Nikkei. All right, well, turn it off. If you don't want to see what it is, turn it off. And then it won't be in your list, and you hit okay. And when you come over here, now your drop down list of your commodities is going to be whatever you have or whatever you chose. If you really only trade 4 commodities, there's no reason to have everything else listed in there. The reason I have most stuff listed in there is because I'm showing off the software for the most part here on YouTube, and I have everything set up so you guys can see, oh, that's really cool. Look at all the things that Land has in the software. If I only had 4 lists in there, you'd come in here and watch me trading and say, well, that software sucks. It only trades 4 things. Well, the reason it only trades 4 things is because that's the only 4 things I trade, and that's what I put in my list. Makes it easy for me to pick what I want. It's very fast if I only have the 4 things that I trade in my list. But I'm here for another purpose, is to mostly to example the software to you guys and teach you how to use it, both in how to trade, but in how to trade using this software. So I need to have lots of things turned on and lots of colors and all kinds of WYSIWYGs so that you guys can have fun and a good experience experiencing all the tools and things and capabilities of track and trade. But if I wasn't doing that, I would limit that list to the 5 things that I trade, and that's all that would be in the drop down. I don't care about anything else. Why am I going to worry about having it be in the list? Now I just have to sort down through it. The only reason I do that is so that whenever I open that, people on YouTube can say, oh, look at all the stuff Land's got in his list. We can trade all that. That's really cool. Okay, so there's a lot of that going on too. You have to take that into consideration of what's happening here. Also, the color coding. I mean, track and trade has the ability to do that really cool, everything black and gray and not these white panels on the side. A lot of people don't like the white panels, and they're like, oh, that software is hard to look at, white panels. But if I turn those gray or black, which you can, it's over here in the view menu, right? Set things up, and you just come into the color settings and you say, I want it to be black. I want everything to be black, and that really cool black color everybody likes, which was funny because back when we first started trading, everything was black. And then the whole Windows and everybody went away from that, and they went to this gray because in the beginning, everything was black, and then they went away from black. Oh, we don't want black. Now everything's going back to black again. So everybody's got to have their dark color, right? So track and trade has that ability, but if I turn it on, it makes it really hard for you to see it on YouTube. The projection, it's really super hard. And so people complained. And so I turn off the beautiful, pretty black stuff and go back to the white stuff because it makes it easier to project over the internet. But it does have that ability to make it this beautiful black background and all these things black and gray, and everything is really cool. The little green colors, but it doesn't project well over YouTube. So I have to turn that off. All right, so now let's come in and get back to our how to set up your charts the way I like them. The way I like them is, again, I like Heikin-Ashi bars. So that's how you change your time frames. And so that's the time frames I like. So if you want to make yours look like mine, go in and do that. Set them up with a range bar 6, a 1 minute, a 2 minute, a 5 minute, 25, and a 50. And then that's what you want to set your bars up. Now you're going to look like mine. Now you're going to have the charts that look like mine. The thing is, you're going to have what we call range bar capabilities, which is the bars are not set up for minute time frames. So many of them are, because I like to see some minute time frames where each bar represents a certain minute. But I also like range bars, which have no time involved, just trend. So you specify the number of trend or how big the trend has to be before it gives you a new bar. So where I specify range bar 6, that means the market has to move 6 minimum moves. Well, a market can only, each move the market makes has to be a minimum size. Like, for example, in the stock market, each minimum move is 1 penny. That's the smallest increment that the market can move, is 1 penny. Well, over here, we don't operate in pennies. In the futures market, we operate in contract sizes, and contract sizes are all different. Like I mentioned before, you got, crude oil trading in gallons. You've got the grains are all trading in bushels. You've got all the metals are trading in ounces, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So everything is different. It's all messed up. So one minimum move is something different on every chart. And so in the key, if you go up to the key, whatever chart you go to, whatever commodity you look at, you can see what the minimum move is. Well, a range bar takes whatever that minimum move is, whether a minimum move is $12.50 or $2.50 or $1 or a penny or whatever it is, whatever that minimum moves is that's in there, and it's different for every chart. And we say range bar 6. Well, a range bar 6 on one chart might be different size than it is on another one, but it's still a range bar 6. It's 6 minimum moves. So 6 minimum moves is how far the market has to move before it's going to give you a new bar. And sometimes that's a lot. Sometimes that's a small amount, a small dollar amount, but it's still 6 minimum moves. And so now one of these is 25 minimum moves. So now the market has to move 25 minimum moves before it gives you a new bar. And you'll notice that the bars are all basically the same size. Let me get rid of this overlay so you don't see all the colors. And let's get rid of this overlay just to simplify things. All right, let's get rid of this overlay, simplify things. Let's get rid of this overlay to simplify things. I'm just going to turn off some of these things so the chart just looks very simple. And so that is a Range bar 25 on the Dow Jones. Each bar represents 25 minimum moves, and you're not going to get a new bar until the market moves 25 minimum moves. Therefore, you're not looking at time. Each bar has no time involved, meaning that each bar could be, one bar could be 2 seconds and the other bar could be 10 minutes because there's no time involved. How long does it take the market to move? 25 minimum moves, because it's a range bar 25. So it's got to move 25 minimum moves before a distance of 25 minimum moves from top to bottom before it'll give you a new bar. That might take a long time, might take a short time. Depends on how active the market is. You come over, here's a range bar 50. So what you're really looking at is you're looking at the trend of the market as opposed to a timestamp of the market price in amount of time. How far the market went in 1 minute, or how far the market moved in 10 minutes. So the bars are larger or smaller on a minute chart, right? If you come over to a 1 minute chart, you're going to have bars that are really long and tall. Let me turn off this. So you're going to have really long, tall bars like this one, right? Like this one. Or you're going to have really little tiny short bars like that because you're on a 1 minute time frame. So that's just how far the market moved in 1 minute. Here's a little tiny one. Market moved that far in 1 minute during that minute, but during this minute, it went that far. So that's why you have different sizes of bars. But if you go to a range bar, you don't have different sizes of bars. All the bars are exactly the same size. So we come back down to a range bar 25. And so that's why each bar is exactly the same size. Now, Lan, that's not what I saw. You have this other kind of chart. What is that? Well, I use a smoothing component, which is a relatively new invention by the Japanese. Now, in this industry, relatively new means that it was probably 10 years ago or 15 years ago that they invented it. But by the time it kind of gets integrated into all the software programs and everybody starts using it, it takes years, right? But nonetheless, it's a method, or it's basically an indicator is really all it is, but we apply it to the chart, the ticks themselves. Most indicators are either overlay indicators, for example, like a moving average, right? So we turn on a moving average and you get a series of lines. Let's come in here and go TNT defaults. So there's your TNT defaults. You get a couple of moving average lines that lay over the top of the chart. And so that is what most indicators are. And they'll smooth out the component of the underlying price bar some way, one way or another. So that's a moving average of the price bars. But we're going to apply Heikin-Ashi directly to the price bars themselves and not some sort of an overlay. All right. So another overlay example would be the ATR. This is an ATR, an average true range, and you can see how we lay it over the top of the chart. It's not adjusting or changing the bars themselves, but it's just laying over the top of the chart and giving you buy-sell signals or indications of where markets are rising or falling. And so that is an overlay indicator. But to change the actual bars themselves, that's pretty rare. So range bars is one way we can change the bars themselves, but then we're going to lay another indicator over the top of that to change the bars twice. And the other one is Heikin-Ashi. And in my software, I've got a little button up here in the button bar called HA, stands for Heikin-Ashi, and you click it and it turns it on. And now you notice that the bars are no longer the exact same size. You have little tiny short bars again, and you have big long bars, but they are still range bars. But they have the Heikin-Ashi mathematical model affecting the bar itself. So you end up with a Heikin-Ashi range bar chart, which is really weird. You don't see very many traders trading with that. It's really super rare. All right. I'm one of them. I like it. I think it's a really cool way of looking at the charts, and it's worked really well for me. So I like to have both the range bar charts and Heikin-Ashi turned on at the same time. And it gives me these unique chart views. All right. And all I have to do is now I can see visually, see if I turn it back off, go back to a range bar. And then if I go back to a minute bar, turn off that's the same, that's all the same chart. So you tell me which one would be easier for you to trade. This is what I would say 90% of the market looks like, or even more, probably more like 98% of market traders look at charts like this. This is what traders look at. 98% of all traders are going to be looking at this chart. Okay. And they'll put on overlay indicators like moving averages, or why does that keep coming up? TNT defaults. Okay. So they'll have all kinds of different moving averages, right? Or different indicators. They'll turn on ATRs, or they'll turn on, what's another one that's really popular? Parabolic SAR. You'll see all kinds of different indicators that they'll use to lay over the top of these charts to help make their buying and trading decisions. Very few people use range bar charts. That's unique to my style. I love range bar charts. Very few people use them, and almost nobody uses. More people use Heikin-Ashi. I would say more people use Heikin-Ashi bars than range bar charts. But I don't know anybody else that uses both Heikin-Ashi and range bar charts combined. That's really unique and rare. All right. But it's something I like. So if you like to trade the way I trade, well, you might like Heikin-Ashi and range bar charts too. I don't know if you'll like it or not. Doesn't mean you have to do it just because I do it. It's just something I like. And so when you come in here, if you want your charts to look like mine, let's turn off all these indicators, because those are what other people use. And it's not that we don't use them. We use those same indicators too, but I like them with a Heikin-Ashi bar and a range bar. So let's come in and let's go to, there's a range bar 50. Let's go back to range bar 50. So there's your range bar 50 with Heikin-Ashi. If I turn off Heikin-Ashi, there's range bar 50. Turn on Heikin-Ashi, there's Heikin-Ashi. Now, to me, that seems a lot easier to trade. I can see better where I think it's the right time to buy and sell. Now, I can turn on the same indicators. I can come in here. Here's my moving averages. And I'm going to have to switch that again, TNT default. So there's your moving averages if you like moving averages. And they have their place, but I'm a little bit more fond of, rather than moving averages, I like ATR. So that's my favorite indicator. So I'll lay ATR over the top of my range bars and over the top of Heikin-Ashi. Now you're like, Lan, my software doesn't have Heikin-Ashi buttons up there. And also out of the box, when I got track and trade, you've got duplicates up here in your box. You've got two arrows, like you got an arrow here, you got an arrow here, you got a line here, and you got a line here. And why are your buttons duplicates, and why are they different than mine? Because track and trade is customizable. And as you heard me rant and rave earlier, it's very important to me to be operating in a very concise area. So I'm not moving my mouse back and forth so far up and down. My arm has to go like this to go get an arrow. And then my arm has to go like that to get a buy button. And then my arm has to come all the way back down here to change the chart. My arm has to go all, I don't want to do that. So I customize my software so everything I'm doing is in one little central location. And I can do that with this control panel. I can right click, say customize toolbar. And now I have this little box that pops up, and I can move things from the left side, tools that are available to me, over to the toolbar that's up here. And now these are the current toolbars. So you can see I've got Heikin-Ashi, which is over here in the left side, and I've moved it over here to the right side, and that puts Heikin-Ashi up here in the button bar. And now it's a toggle. I can turn it on and off based on which chart I'm looking at. All right. And if I have multiple charts on the screen and I hit Heikin-Ashi, it'll turn Heikin-Ashi on all of them. And you're like, well, what if I don't want Heikin-Ashi on all of them? Well, you just turn on the one chart you want it on, hit it, and it'll turn it on. And then you can go back to multiple chart screens. So whatever charts you have available, if you hit Heikin-Ashi, it'll turn them on all of them. So if you don't want it on all of them, just bring it full screen of the ones you do, turn it on, turn it off, whatever, and then you can adjust them that way. But that's how you get Heikin-Ashi up on your control button bars. You can have complete control. And that's how you can have multiple tools in one on your button bar. So like a line tool, see this line tool up here? It's over here on the left side, and it's over here. See the arrows? I can draw arrows here. I got an arrow tool here. This arrow tool, should probably come over here. And now that we are talking about it, I'm going to take this, customize this toolbar, and I'm going to take that arrow. See that arrow right there? It's too close to this one. I don't need them that close. I want that arrow. I want to move it down. down the line, up the line. I'm going to move that all the way over right there. Okay. So now when I close that, now I got an arrow here and I got an arrow here. So if I'm talking to you guys and I need an arrow, I can just come right here and I can grab one there. Or if I'm over here, I can just grab one here. So I can, that's why I do it, because I don't want to have to sit there with my arm and go from here to get that tool to here to get that tool. And I draw a lot of arrows because I'm teaching a lot. So I do things that most of you guys probably won't do. And so my software is customized for teaching, as opposed to your software might be more customized towards, you know, the layout you need for trading. And so that's a little bit of a difference. Nick's like, you should see some of my pattern drawing. Okay. Could you say how to get the Heikin-Ashi again? All right. Did I answer that? I'm going to show you, actually, that's how you get it on the button bar. I'm going to show you how you get it turned on without the button bar, because some of you don't have it turned on in the button bar yet. So it's actually part of the chart, right? So if it's part of the chart, you right click on the chart, come down to chart preferences, and it's right there, Heikin-Ashi. Okay, that's where you find it. So if you want to know about candlesticks, they're down here in this thing here. You got all of your location lines, you got your bar colors, your color by, you know, close to close, open to open, open to close, alternate days, your different colors, your fill your candles, your not candles, you show the bar text, etc., etc. So candles like that. So if you make your changes, Heikin-Ashi is in there. That's right there, Heikin-Ashi. Now, why is it there? Because when the programmers, I told them I wanted Heikin-Ashi, that's where they thought it fit. That's where they came up with it. I think it should be right in here. You should be able to turn it on in here. But the problem is you can apply Heikin-Ashi to all of these. That's why it's not in there. You think, well, it should be just a candlestick style. Well, it's not. It's a filter that can be applied to any candlestick style. So we can go to close, open, high, low, close bars. Oh, that's line bar. Let's go to open, high, low, close bars, and we can apply Heikin-Ashi. All right, let's make them proportional width. So now we got Heikin-Ashi range bar. So range bar, Heikin-Ashi, open, high, low, close bars. So it's not really a price bar type. It's a filter that we put over the top of the certain price bars. That's why it's in the price bar tab right there, Heikin-Ashi. All right. So you can make Heikin-Ashi. Let's see what other kind of bars we have. We have high-low close bars. It just takes off the open. But it's still a Heikin-Ashi range bar, open, high, low, close bar, or high, low, close. All right. So that's why it's not in this list right here, where you'd think it would make sense to be here, but it doesn't, because if you want candlesticks, you can have candlesticks. We'll make them not proportional width, and there we go. So you can have all these different styles, and you can still have Heikin-Ashi laid over the top of them. It doesn't have to be Heikin-Ashi laid over the top of candlesticks. It can be Heikin-Ashi laid over the top of an open, high, low, close bar. That's why it's over there. That's how you find it. All right. So then you hit, well, I want to save that as my defaults, update all my charts. Now all my charts that are on the range bar 50 are going to look like that. All right. There you go. And that's how you get your charts to look like mine. And then to turn on an indicator, you right click on here. These are your overlays. These are your add your indicator window. Let's say we want MACD. We just slide down here to MACD. Just like that. There's MACD. And if we want to change MACD, we click the little tile. It'll open up the preferences tab, and there's all the settings for MACD. All right. I think I've pretty much pontificated my way through that that lesson on how you get your charts like mine. Now your charts look like mine, and that's how you do it. That's how you get your charts to look like mine. Now you got a history of track and trade, where it all came from, why it does all the things that it does, that we've been around since 1998. We invented most of this stuff. That's why most of this stuff is in the industry now. Dollar calculators, risk reward calculators, Heikin-Ashi range bars, Fibonacci rulers, projectors, all kinds of neat stuff. Being able to draw on your charts, all that stuff came from clear back in the good old days, back when we were in Chicago, creating all this stuff at the Board of Trade. Now you got a little history. And all those guys that were back there, all my buddies and pals, and we did all, and I could start to give names, and I would leave somebody out. And I don't mean to leave anybody out because there were so many people who contributed and helped with this stuff, but I will name a few of my strongest buddies that we worked with. John Person, love that man, helped me tremendously with the software. Paul Britton, amazing, helped me with the software so much. These are some of my best friends. Paul Britton's no longer with us. He had an aneurysm and died. Barrett Fisk helped out a lot. Another guy that no longer with us, jumped out of the top window of a building or something. Not joking. Couldn't handle it, and helped out a lot. I had some other guys that really helped out. One of my favorite guys in the whole world is Larry Pesavento. I went down to his house and traded with him in person down in Arizona with him. That guy spent a lot of time at the Chicago Board of Trade with me, showing me all the stuff all the Fibonacci stuff that we did came from Larry Pesavento. We called him the godfather of Fibonacci. John Murphy. We got a lot of stuff from John Murphy. We got a lot of stuff from J. Wells Wilder, a lot of his stuff. I chased around forever with Jake Bernstein. He and I did live shows all over the country. We went to New York, we went to LA, Las Vegas, Texas, Florida, you name the state. Jake Bernstein and I was there. He's a very, prolific educator, teacher. He's probably got 50 books on Amazon on trading. He and I were good buddies and did a lot of stuff back in the day together. Larry Williams, we worked with Larry Williams a lot. He was back there. These are all the guys that were back there when I was there. There's so many guys that I can't list them all. Companies, Aileron, not in business any longer, but those guys were instrumental in helping create the software. If it wasn't for Aileron, I don't think we would even be here. They kind of took us under their wing. They were a big company back then. They took us under their wing and opened us up to the whole world of big brokerage services and firms and got us into everywhere. They're the ones who got us into the Board of Trade. They're the ones who got us into all of the money shows, the Traders Expos. They're the ones who got us into everything. So we really owe a debt of gratitude to those guys. I could start naming guys in there, but I would, miss. There were so many of them that helped us that I start naming people and I'll be in trouble. But Paul Britton was one of the big ones. That's where I met Carly Garner. She was actually one of my students. I was teaching her, and now you see her on MSNBC and out on CBS, and you see her all over the place. She's a great, great, great person to learn from and to be a part with. There's just so many people. I can't even begin to name them all right here while I'm trying to name them off my head. But Scott Berry couldn't have never got here without Scott Berry. Scott Berry was a huge factor in what we did here. He was one of my very best friends, and he drowned, so he's no longer with us. There's been a bunch of guys that were with me that are all gone now, all dead. So, that's where a lot of this stuff came from, and all these things that I'm telling you that we invented and created. It wasn't just little Lan Turner doing it by himself. There's a whole team of programmers that have come through the Gecko Software Company, but not just that. It's the industry itself of professional traders and educators and people who I all met back at the Board of Trade. John Person introduced me to most of them, so I have to give lots of credit to John Person getting me involved in a lot of that back there. Neil Weintraub, he was the head of the education center back there. We worked with Neil for years and years. He got us into the education center and helped us out back there. Just so many people that we're all a part of this and getting this thing rolling and getting this industry going. Those were really the guys that got the industry going. This technology transfer from the pits out to the electronic world. And I am fortunate to be a very small part of that and appreciative of all those guys who helped us make it happen because they wanted to see it happen. They wanted to see the world of software become, how we traded. And so that you didn't have to be back in Chicago down in the pits. You could come back and trade on computers, and you could draw on the charts. And they wanted to be able, we used to do it with paper. We used to get paper. When I first started trading, there were no charts. You had to get a subscription for paper in the mail, and your charts would come in the mail. And then you get the newspaper and you'd update your paper charts. That's how we did it. And that's not that long ago. I'm not that old. I'm only 60. That's how long I've been doing this. And that's what it was like in my lifetime. I've seen it gone from paper charts that came to you in the mail to, damn it, how come it took me 2 seconds for my order to go through? A piece of shit. Gosh, darn it. 2 minutes? Oh, why do I have to wait 2 seconds? When I was started trading, a round turn was $100. It was $50 in, $50 out. That was my first experience trading. That was my first account. I opened it up, $50 in, $50 out. And now we complain about, oh man, commissions are $1. So, we've come a long ways, and it's taken a lot of people standing on a lot of shoulders, a lot of great, wonderful people who have worked really hard and spent their entire careers. It's not just a little piece of software that let's just go download that. When you download that, you're downloading 40 years of history and a tremendous amount of knowledge that came from a lot of great traders from the world of finance. So we weren't really big into the stock market. We just barely got into the stock market a few years ago, about, I guess it's been 10 years now, but everything was done at the futures market. It was all done in Chicago, and all this stuff came out of Chicago, not out of New York. It came out of Chicago. Where the best basketball and football team are the Bulls and the Bears. All right, guys, I've pontificated enough and bragged enough and said enough for the day. There's lots to learn. Software has been around for 40 years, and I can't teach it all in 1 hour on YouTube. So there's going to be a lot to do. So if you want to continue and stick around and be with an old dog that's been around for a long time and knows a lot of people and done a lot of things with a lot of traders, and I can teach you a lot of things. I can teach you all the things they taught me, and that's really what I'm doing. I'm just teaching you the things they taught me. And so for the most part, I'm just a tech support guy. But because I've been around so long, and I love trading more than anything. It's my favorite thing in the world. I've dedicated my whole life to it. My whole career. Everything I've ever done has been this piece of software, trading, learning, Chicago Board of Trade, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And those people that I spent back there, spent so much time with, they mean the world to me, and give them credit where credit is due. I didn't do this myself. It's all because of them and them helping me. And so I appreciate them, and I should probably someday write down all their names in one spot and tell them, so they have the recognition. But they all helped. And I only touched on the very, the ones that popped into my head very quickly here. There's so many others. But that's where most of this technology and knowledge and information, whether it's track and trade or, any other program you go use, those are the guys that I just listed that invented all that stuff. All right, came up with it. So be appreciative of the shoulders of the people you're standing on, and can see as far as you can see based on how far they could see. So we call them Farsees. How far can you see? That's a Farsee. All right, and you can only see as far as you can see, and then somebody sits on your shoulders, and then they can see farther. And I hope you guys come and sit on my shoulders and see way farther than what I can see. And you can do way more with it than what I've done with it. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I've given you enough Sunday school lessons, enough pontification, and enough adoration to the guys that deserve it. I think that we need to call this quits and let you guys go for the day. And no trading today. We'll come back and do it again tomorrow. Tomorrow is power hour day, so we'll trade in the afternoons. We'll see if we can't make a little bit of money with some of this technology and this knowledge that these guys have passed on to us. How's that? Okay. We will. If you like today was a hard day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Learn a little bit about some of the history of where this stuff comes from and how it works. Then it would be great to have a little thumbs up. I get a little passionate about this kind of thing sometimes. So hopefully you see that as not anger, but as passion. And I'm passionate for these markets and passionate to have you guys succeed and do well. And that's the whole thing I'm doing. I want to see you guys do well. So it's been good to me, and I just want to share my knowledge, and it's my life's passion. So I will see you guys tomorrow.